Do you want early access? Do you want uncut reactions? If so, then check out our Patreon. Link in the description down below.
Season das en San Diego.
Yeah. This show, when we reacted to the last season, you know, the first half of season 3 was great. The second half of season 3, holy shit. So much happened. So much going on. And then Nick and I heard that this was going to be the final season. As in ring the dinner bell, Margaret, it's time to come home. This whole thing, this whole show.
I think they're actually going to release the whole season this time, or we're only going to get half of it and then have to wait for the second half.
God dang it, I hope that's not the case. There's a lot of people who, like, okay, there's some shows that have done that here recently. I know, like, the entire Ruby fandom is pissed off by the fact that they're splitting the newest season of Ruby in half.
I'm pissed off that Ruby was still going after season 3.
No, I know. Well, one of my favorite comments I saw on one video talking about it was the top comment was literally like, "Oh God, a show I haven't cared about since like season 2 or 3. What else is new?" Mm-hmm. Yeah, so but it's effectively like a thing that a lot of animes are doing now. They give you the first half, and then they tease you just like, "Hey, in 6 more months, guess what? You're getting the rest of it." It's like, please don't do that for this. Please, I'm begging you, give us the full, like, final, like, everything together. We need something good to bring us into 2021, man. We need something. Come on. Because
considering how this year's went, I'm really surprised this is actually out right now.
Hey, what a way to end the year, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. And I cannot wait to see what is going to happen.
I'm almost not ready for this.
Me neither, man. I don't want it to end, but at the same time, every great story has to come to an end.
I mean, the characters are obviously all, you know, fighters for their survival and everything, but their situation is actually, in a way, more hopeless than we originally thought.
Well, I mean,
like, they're essentially going to have to fight a war against
a far more advanced, far more organized. Yeah.
Yeah, and the only thing they have to help their side pretty much is the fact that they have quite a few of the Titans on their side now.
I think it's almost even.
In my opinion, it's looking pretty bad for everybody, like in the main character roster. I
mean, so
they've taken such a beating to even get to this point. How are they going to win this? Know what I mean?
I don't know. I want to. Let's just get to it. This is Attack on Titan, Season 4, Episode 1, The Other Side of the Sea. Here we go. Oh. This is World War One. This may be World War One or Two. This is not trench warfare. This has got to be World War One. No Man's Land.
Either that, or it's just based off of it.
Okay. That's a stick grenade, girl. You don't hit someone in the head with that thing. What the fuck? Can I be honest? Intro not that good.
Yeah, it's okay at best.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm hyped for this show, but what's going on right there? I have no idea. What I'm thinking is that's the side of Marley. Like pretty much they're fighting a war already. Like the war has already begun. Keep in mind also,
I don't know, like if that's what I think it is, and they time skipped ahead, and that was Reiner, like hopefully this is a flashback, like to previously, because if that's them skipping ahead, and then I'm like, so the author didn't even know how the fuck he was gonna get there, like basically, like I'm gonna be pretty disappointed.
Fingers crossed, hoping that that's not the case.
I'm hoping this is just a flashback to like a previous war between Marley and Eldia.
We'll see. We will see.
一体誰が選ばれるんだろうね。
なんだか自分以外の比較対象が他にいねえって口火だ。
だって他にいないでしょ。私があんたたちと違うの。覚悟。エルディア人の運命を背負う。私たちを苦しめるあの島の悪魔ども。皆殺しにする覚悟だ。
その戦闘と最後尾に計4門と向かってる。連合の新兵器対巨人砲だ。
我らの巨人は2体とも素早いです。とてもうなじを打ち抜くなど。
撃ち抜いた。
我々は巨人の力と戦士を失い、
9年前から始まった始祖奪還計画が返り討ちに終わり、超大型と目型を失ったような。
So this is a flash forward.
God damn it.
我が祖国から栄誉を得るチャンスだぞ。ここにいる800人のエルディア人が。これより貴様らエルディア人部隊は敵線路に突撃を仕掛け、敵遠兵壕に飛び込み、機関銃を無理に
Oh no.
いいか、これは貴様ら薄汚い悪魔の末裔がその名誉を献上し、コルト、お前も獣を受け継ぐ身ならいい加減に上に立つ者としての覚悟を持て。
死んだ。しかし様子がおかしい。足かせを引きずっているぞ。
Oh, I see what she's doing. Oh! Stop celebrating and get back to the damn hole. Yeah, what's the point of you rushing out there, man? Oh.
The fuck is that one?
I think that's one of the ones we didn't see.
Must be the only one we haven't seen.
Yeah, because I think we counted. There was only one that we knew was unaccounted for. Ah, yes, the old Soviet Union tactic. Just keep throwing bodies at them and then wait for the piles to overflow them. The quadruped. They turned it into an armored... Yeah. They turned it pretty much into like a whole armored division. Wait, are those Titans that have been, like, shrunk down? Oh,
There's a bunch of people they just injected with Titan fluid, I'm assuming.
Yeah, now he's gonna control them. Oh, hell. So effectively they've learned to control the Titans and their ability to, New high-end cannons.
質量爆弾の威力は十分。彼はもううんざりです。なんだ、何を買った。そうこれじゃ。
Ah, they had another armored train in the inside. Oh god, is he gonna hurl tank shells at these motherfuckers? Here's the wind up. Here's the pitch. It's a slider straight down the middle, and what do we have? Oh! Oh, damn. There's the wind up and the pitch, and it would seem that it is a strikeout, ladies and gentlemen, across the board.
連合艦隊の壊滅を受け、中東連合はマーレとの講和条約を締結。巨人の力が全てを支配する時代が終わりつつあることを知られ、マーレは一刻も早く始祖の巨人を手に入れる必要に迫られた。
I don't know what...
I'm pretty pissed off right now.
Yeah.
Why did we just switch over to some kind of fucking side story, like, for a whole first intro episode?
I don't know.
4 years later?
Actually,
why do I care about any of this? Why do I care about any of these characters other than Reiner and Zeke?
Well...
Like, what the fuck was that?
My guess is this is effectively showing us where the world stands now from the side of the Marlians.
Yeah, and it was a whole, like, I'm time skipping forward because I don't even know how to get anywhere from where I've left it off, basically. In my opinion, that's what it feels like to me.
Well...
It better fucking rewind next episode.
We'll see.
If it doesn't and it stays like this, I don't care anymore. Like...
Damn.
I literally don't give a shit. Like, that is horrible storytelling, in my opinion, if that's what it does for the rest of the season. It better not.
So I'm hoping that's not the case, but honestly...
Me too. It better not. Like, I'm not down with it so far at all. Compared to last season and everything we built up to and everything we saw, like, you can't just skip ahead and introduce us to all these new characters that we don't give two shits about on the side that we don't give two shits about.
Well,
like, they're trying to build it up, I feel like, and make us give two shits about the other side so that we'll have that whole, like, oh, it's a gray thing, like, nobody's good, nobody's bad thing, but I don't care.
Well, the
like,
okay, the Marlians and the Eldians, the Marlians were using the Eldians right there as sort of like how they use conscripts, effectively. They were conscripts into the war, and
it's
only
like taking prisoners and sending them out to die first in front of your citizens, essentially.
Pretty much guaranteeing them, okay, by the way, if we win, if you survive and we win, you'll be given like certain privileges and shit like that.
Yeah, which I'm sure they won't actually.
No.
Not besides like the couple of them that were like actually there to be in the brainwashing, taking over the Titan control program, you know.
Yeah, and the whole thing with it is, I'm thinking that the Eldians will effectively. I'm hoping that this is what's going to happen. The Marlians are the ones who are in control of the mainland, basically. and the Marleyans are over the Eldians, and the Eldians have been trying to fight for so long to be out from under the crux of the Marleyans.
I don't even think they've been fighting. I think they've literally been like, it's basically like if Hitler won, is how like he would be treating basically everyone that wasn't of the Aryan race or whatever, you know, like everybody.
Yeah,
would be just under
you're
a
basically
thumb.
you're basically
there would be like
just,
rebel factions and stuff, obviously, like there are in this that didn't want to be under it, but like most everybody's just kind of like, all right, this is my life, like, you know, don't look anybody in the eye that works for the Nazis, and you won't get fucking shit on, hopefully.
Yeah, well, that's what you. Well, my interpretation of this so far has just it. There's so many things that I like, but at the same time, I'm really like, this is a weird place to start this.
This would be interesting as fuck to me if this was the start of an anime that I had not seen before, for sure. But picking up at the beginning of the final season for something that we've been building up on for 3 seasons like this, people might shit all over me and say I have bad taste, but fuck you, dude. Like, I'm not in. Like, that was a horrible first episode. Like, you told me, like, you had heard the intro song wasn't that great. Dude, the whole first episode wasn't that great. Like,
I don't know. I mean, there was some really hype stuff, and plus, I guess we're seeing how advanced...
Swag told me I was going to like it, and I don't understand why. Like,
dude, he's Swag.
Like,
Swag says things even I don't understand. Probably that Romanian accent.
well, I mean, I have a feeling I'm going to be the one guy everybody's going to shit all over me for this and be like, what the fuck are you being so pessimistic for? But...
well, the thing
I don't
with
know, man. That was not at all what I was expecting, and nothing in there was hype. Like, nothing in there advanced the plot we've been waiting on this whole time. Like, if anything, like, it felt like it lazily skipped ahead to show us something that we have no fucking stake in at the moment because we don't know how it got there. Like, if you're gonna do such a good job of building up this epic, like, confrontation and stuff, and then, like, oh, 4 years later, nothing really happened with that, apparently. But, like, they're in a war with somebody else now. And,
yeah, the Mideast.
Struggling to fight these guys, like, that we didn't even know existed before. And they just won. So it's like, maybe they're trying to put forth the point. It's like, okay, this is how they're going to have a chance. Is, you know, Marley's fighting a war on multiple fronts. But, so they've been planning for 4 years, like, whatever they're going to do. Like, and really we're led to believe that Marley has just, like, let them sit for 4 years. That they didn't bring back fucking everyone they had after what happened with the end of season 3 to fucking crush them. Like,
well, the problem with it is you heard it from like the interactions between like the child soldiers and like the commander. It's just like, what happened last time we tried to get the Founder's power back? We lost the Colossal and the female Titan. We can't afford to lose anymore. So that would be my explanation as to why they haven't gone back to the island. Also, well, 4 years is a long time. 4 years is a long time for us, especially in the world as connected as we are now. 4 years in this world, I would say, is equatable to that of just around the technological revolutions of war. Instead of using basic like gunpowder cannons, now they're using like shell cannons.
I mean, I don't know if that's the way it's meant to be. Like, they were using basic gunpowder cannons over on the island because they didn't advance as quickly because they couldn't because of the constant Titan barrage on them.
Well,
but this is a different country entirely. Like, how do we know they haven't had this tech for years, you know?
Well, and here's another thing, too. They also did a little bit of a time skip in Season 3 with the introduction of the Thunder Spears, the introduction of electricity, the introduction of a lot of different things. And you see, those things are minute by comparison. You see, that's like small technological leaps. You see, because but this is a much more drastic leap forward in time.
Yep.
Between 4 to 9 years. From what I understand, what they said, the conflict between Marley and the Mideast was going on for 4 years, but it had been like 9 years.
Oh yeah. Like, I kind of forgot about that. 9 years. So we're on a 9 year time skip right now.
Yeah. So
like, they skipped almost a fucking decade.
And
What the hell has been happening in 9 years?
I don't know.
Like, why?
Well, again,
If this stays in this time period, this is, in my opinion, the biggest fucking blunder since the end of Game of Thrones. Like,
that's saying something.
yeah, like, I'm not going to give two shits about watching the rest of the season if it stays in this time period.
We'll see.
Like-
I mean, I originally thought, when Season 2 of Attack on Titan was going on, I was just like, this is whatever. I am not as interested in this as I was. But if I've learned anything about this show, never underestimate it. Never underestimate it, and
Dude, I hope so.
and
That's
expect
just-
something. Expect something to change, and expect. I expect the next episode. I think if they do a slow burn this season. By slow burn, I mean we see the world as it stands now, and then all of a sudden we're introduced to Eren, Mikasa, Aramin, just all down the line, and we go back and we see everything that they've been doing, everything that they've been planning, everything that they've been progressing in. Because now that the Titans are no longer a factor, and the fact that they have the ability to control certain Titans' powers, they're able to advance themselves very, very quickly technologically. So I'm thinking is we're going to have two completely technologically different, but yet more advanced than what we're used to, civilizations going at each other. We're going to have the Marlians with their with their more modern technology, the dirigibles, the parachutes and stuff like that, and then you're going to have the Eren and the rest of the crew basically. With everything that they've got, the Thunder Spears, the 3D movement gear. That's one thing that the Beast Titan was absolutely he wanted to have. He wanted to have that 3D movement gear piece so that he could understand it better. Because apparently it was something that spawned up completely at random and had no factor in the world of Marley. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a lot like, okay, for instance, a long time ago, thousands of years ago, there was a little toy in the Athenian Empire. It was one of Socrates. I believe it was one of Socrates' favorite toys that he played with. What it was a little ball made of glass, made of either glass or ceramic. And what he would do is he would put water inside of it, and he'd put a flame under it. And it would and there were two jets, one would, going in opposite directions, one pointing up, one pointing down, and the jet and the steam would escape through the jets, and it would spin. Now, looking at that, and he thought, oh, that's just a toy. There's no practical application that this can be applied to, and he forgot about it. But then, 2,000 years later, the Industrial Revolution happened, and what completely changed the game when it came to the Industrial Revolution? Steam. And you see, if 2,000 years ago, Aristotle would have looked at that and would have just been like, I wonder if there's other things we can put this towards. Boom. Next thing you know, you have a 2,000-year advance on the Industrial Revolution. And imagine where we would be right now in civilization if we had that. That's the crazy part of human ingenuity. We have all these tools at our disposal, and we have all of these energy sources at our disposal, but we are too stupid to understand and look at it from a different perspective. And that's one thing I'm thinking is going to happen here because of how the Marlians look at things. They see the Eldians as fucking devil spawn, never trust them, never let them get beyond a certain point. All they are pretty much just like how they were how the tailed beasts were in Naruto. They're basically war assets. That's it. They're useless until they get their Titan powers, and then when they get their Titan powers, they're basically like nuclear armaments. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking with the Eldians who are on the island, who have effectively retaken the island, it'll effectively be a different way of waging war that the Marlians will not be ready for. That's what I'm thinking anyway.
Perhaps.
See,
they have World War One, essentially, guns and everything.
Yeah. And tools of war. They are at about World War One.
If you go in with 3D maneuver gear, at all, like with that many bullets flying, you're gonna get fucking destroyed.
Yes,
like, you're gonna just
that's
get sniped out of the air easily.
And again, this is why I'm thinking that,
which makes me really sad too, because one of the most iconic things about Attack on Titan up to this point has been the 3D maneuver gear. It was such an interesting piece of tech, and it was an iconic tool in their kit.
Yeah.
For the whole first 3 seasons, you know, and it's like if this whole thing like moots the 3D maneuver gear, that's gonna be so fucking disappointing too. Like,
I think, well, the 3D movement gear, the thing with it works very well in forested areas, and it works very well in like very tight-knit cities. There was no opportunity for them to use the 3D movement gear here because it was an open field. It was a big open field. There's no way you can use 3D movement gear. Now, effectively, with how war is waged now, they're going to have to figure out new ways to fight on the open field. Like the Eldians who are on the island, they're going to have to figure out new ways to fight.
I'm going to be so disappointed if like they invade and it's just like this is a preview of what it's like for the rest of the series too. Like
I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that this is sort of like an introduction and sort of a swerve.
Look, that would be a whole genre change, basically, from what Attack on Titan's been the whole time. It's basically going to be a war anime for the final season. I mean, we're expecting a war, but like, it's been something unique and different, and that feels like a step backwards to me. If that's what it turns into, just gunslinging on both sides, back and forth at each other with Titans dropping in the middle of it.
Well,
maybe that's what he was setting up for the whole time, and maybe that's what he really wanted to do, but I think his original setup for it was a way more interesting concept than what he was setting up towards, if that's the case.
We'll just have to see, man. I mean,
yeah,
because there's so many possibilities that they could go with this.
Yeah, I hope it goes somewhere good, but
this is a swerve.
That first episode was not great.
If this is a swerve, and the next episode, all of a sudden, it's just like, oh, by the way, here's what's been going on with the Eldians on the island. Like, if that's what happens next, like, if this shows us where we are in terms of, like, where the end game may play out, and then the rest of this season, we see the build-up that the rest of the characters go through to get to where they can fight this, I think that can be something that could work. It's just, I'm not one to question how the main writer of this show makes this, how the main writer of this manga and this story makes this work. I thought after season 1 they blew their load, and then season 3 happened. So I guess we're going to have to see. Right now, I'm kind of on Nick's side. I'm kind of disappointed with the swerve, but at the same time, I don't know what's going to happen, and that kind of excites me. I'm a little more optimistic than Nick, but I understand his frustrations. But all right, this was.
I'm probably not even going to read the comments of this video because I'm terrified of what people are going to say.
Dude, I don't read the
Everybody that's already read the manga will be like, "Oh, this guy sounds so stupid right now." It's just like, cool. I haven't read the manga. Like, I just got shown this after season 3. That's all I fucking know.
Hey,
like,
you know what else?
You gotta understand that's fucking jarring for someone who hasn't read up ahead, right?
Hey, you know what else sounds stupid? You know what else sounds stupid for anyone out there who thinks that? It's like, oh god, these guys don't read the manga, they're so stupid. It's like, you're the same Twihard fans that I heard in the movie theaters saying, well, someone didn't read the books. I'm like, you're fucking A-right, I didn't read the books. Why the fuck would I want to read, subject myself to that? I subjected myself to those movies enough just to go on dates with girls. Why the fuck would I subject myself to anything else?
I understand that the Attack on Titan manga is good, but like, I want to see it animated. I want to hear the music.
Nick is more interested in seeing the.
It depends on the series.
It coming to life.
Like Death Note, I'll tell you every day. Like, read it.
Read the manga before you watch the show.
You'll have a completely different opinion about the entire thing if you read it than you will after you're done with it. So I figured it out last night, actually. Like, finally put 2 and 2 together when I was talking, or I think it was night before last, because I was talking with Bone about it, and he wasn't on last night. But the reason that I've always kind of felt like I didn't like L as much as everybody else is I feel like because I read the manga. And I think everybody fucking loves L because they don't have an insight into his and Light's thoughts like you get in the manga. He's a lot harder to like in the manga because he's just as obsessed with something.
He's manipulative.
Like, as it's like arguably a better cause, but he's fucking obsessed with taking down Kira to a flaw. And like, you don't really get that as much. He just seems like the goofy, lovable guy that's going to take down the bad guy, like, whenever you watch the anime.
Well, yeah, it's the same perception that people get with certain characters. Like, the very moment you read more into characters and you get more fine details as how the artist originally wanted it to be, it changes everything.
And I feel like the
That
manga
happens so
also
much.
it ropes you into rooting for Light for a lot longer than the series does too. Like, people were done rooting for Light once L showed up, pretty much, but like, you were still kind of wanting to see him pull through even after L was gone in the manga to an extent. Like, because you just see the thoughts, you see the process, and you're like, I could end up in the same situation where I am. I totally understand. Like, you know, he's one of the most understandable villains. Like, even though he's technically the protagonist, like, you know, he's one of the most understandable villains I think I've ever read about. Like,
Same thing with Walter White. I mean,
yeah, like, he's kind of like a Walter White type character. It's like, even after he's done horrible things, you're kind of still in the back of your mind, like, I want to see what happens. I want to see how far he gets, you know. But
yeah, it's
like,
intrigue.
Walter White, like, he did have a moment, like, in that moment in the anime for pretty much everybody is like when L, like, spoiler alert obviously, but when L goes down, like, most people are fucking done rooting for Light at that point at all. Like, that's his horrible thing he did. My moment for Walter White was when he didn't, spoiler alert for Breaking Bad, he didn't save Jesse's
Jane, where
girlfriend.
he let Jane die.
He let her just suffocate, knowing he could have done something. Like, that was pretty fucked in my opinion.
That was a lot. The birth of Heisenberg was the exploding fulminated mercury part. When Heisenberg became a completely different person, and we started to lose Walter White, was that moment where Jane died. Yeah, that was, and where Light ceased to be Light and became Kira. That was sort of the moment where, you know, he took out, in a lot of people's minds, when he took out L. And, you know, it's just how it is with certain protagonists. Certain protagonists, when they change into the villain, that's when they do that right, it's some of the best storytelling.
Yeah, honestly, like, I mean, a lot of people will say I'm just a fucking edgelord or whatever, but I was kind of on Light's side still up until pretty much like the last chapter or two, when he's clearly lost his fucking mind.
Well, he thinks
Like,
he's become a god.
Yeah, basically. Like, before that, like, it was like he saw himself as a god to an extent, but it was like with what he had, he wasn't technically doing, like, horrible by anyone with his powers, if you look at it from a moral compass standpoint, off of the killing anyone is bad. Like, you know, it's like, some of these people did absolutely deserve like some kind of punishment that they weren't given, and he took care of it. Like,
there's actually a really good Stephen, or it's a not Stephen King. There's actually a really good movie called Frailty that explores that too. Basically, is this man who feels like he has two boys, and he convinces his boys he has these visions from God, and these visions from God that he is going to be given these weapons, and he has to kill these people who have done very, very bad things. And it's up to the boys. Like, one of the boys is like completely into it because he loves his dad. His dad's never done anything wrong. His dad's always been a stand-up guy. The other one thinks his dad's fucking lost it. And you see the dissecting paths where the two brothers eventually come to come to a huge disagreement over it, and it's like, what the fuck? And then by the end of it, you're just like, I understand now. I can't recommend that movie enough. It's called Frailty. It's got Matthew McConaughey, Bill Paxton. It's a really good fucking movie. Really, really good.
I think there's a point in the manga where you kind of see Light. It's like, up to this point, it's like he is taking out people who are standing in the way of his end goal, you know, and it's understandable. It's like, it's kind of a kill or be killed situation in some of the points that he's at, where otherwise you would be like, yo, killing that person is obviously completely wrong, but it's like he's just trying to get past the obstacles and keep going with what he's doing. And then there's a point where he's kind of like, yeah, once I get done with this, I'll just take out, you know, my dad and all of the crew that he's with and all these good people, you know, and you're just kind of like,
that's the
gone
point.
Way off of the path of righteousness at all, that if you were still on it at all. Yeah,
Frailty has a similar thing. But yeah, Well, that's actually one we need to watch and get for Halloween next year, because I think you'd like that one a lot. But
anyway, that was a random.
Well, we're talking about
discussion
different
about
stories.
Death Note.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the anime. Welcome to the anime corner with the Renegades.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be discussing Attack on Titan and how it disappointed you today.
Yeah.
So
Just was not hyped enough on the first episode of Attack on Titan to have a legitimate discussion about that. I'd rather talk about an anime that I liked a
actually were
lot.
hyped
So
about,
yeah.
So again,
Or a
everyone.
manga, rather, you know.
Yeah. Well, again, everyone, thank you all very much for tuning in. Hopefully, when this season continues, we'll get some more. You'll get better stuff. I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see.
Hopefully, this was just a bunk first episode, and the rest of the season will be fire.
Or maybe this is a good first episode. We just need to see more and more. Like a bad first impression, but eventually it may become a good first episode.
Yeah, you need the context to make it good.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. We may come back and watch this later and just be like, I never noticed that, or oh god, how come I didn't see that? Yeah, I like anime and shows that do that. But all right, we're gonna move on, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all very much for tuning in once again. This was Attack on Titan season 4, episode 1, The Other Side of the Sea. Good lord. I guess until next time, signing off. I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
We'll see you then. Peace out.